Dice Company contains fantasy violence, mature themes, and unapologetic bickering. No feelings were hurt in the making of it, but listener discretion is advised. Dice Company will always be free, but it's not free to make. Please consider supporting us on Patreon or Apple Podcasts and get access to our weekly roundtable show Extra Roll. Just follow any of the links in the show notes for this chapter.
Earlier that day, in the dining hall of Castle Ericsson, Warden Wulf Ericsson takes a long drink from his ruby-encrusted golden chalice as his valet Valeris enters.
Valeris, you have awoken me from my slumber. You had best have news.
Much, my lord. I have received word that Castilian Kaloon was overheard disparaging your good name.
Is that it? A pompous nobleman speaking out of turn? Hardly worth the effort.
He was in the company of the Prince of Gothamer, my lord. The two made their way to the Whispering Lute.
Did they indeed? What about Irina?
No sign of her, my lord. We must assume she is still in the Kaloon residence.
Must we? What is our face-changing friend up to, do you think?
There is more, my lord.
Speak!
My eyes on the city tell of a commotion at the docks. A sailor screamed in terror and leapt from his boat. The boat was then taken from the city.
Why should I care about the daily life of worms?
Because, my lord, one of the commoners who boarded the boat was seen walking through the streets from the Kaloon residence.
And who is this commoner?
We're not sure, my lord.
Not sure, Valeris? Not sure? How could we be not sure about the identity of the worms? They never change. They have always been the same worms, year after year, decade after decade.
You are, of course, correct, my lord. He must therefore be an outsider, as were his two accomplices on the boat.
Outsiders who left the Kaloon residence before Castilian himself was seen with more confidence than he has ever had, all the while walking the streets with a mask weaver.
Yes, my lord. I think we should consider the possibility that the prince is in fact not the mask weaver, but rather he is the prince. Were they subjected to any loud noises, perhaps? We know they struggle to keep their form in the face of loud noises. Bells, perhaps?
Bells, Valeris? You talk to me of music, while your undertones suggest that I have been deceived, hoodwinked, tricked, fooled.
No, my lord. Not as such.
Not as such? Not as such! What do you propose has happened, if not that? No! No! This is what you get. You call into question my intelligence. And what about now, Valeris? Do you wish to talk more about not so much? Oh, what's that? You cannot talk? I suppose it must be difficult to talk with no head. But thank you for bringing this to me. Clearly, I have been fooled. What a fool, eh? Huh? If I'm a fool to you, what are you to me? Nothing! A bloody mess on the floor. Clean yourself up. But thank you for the tip. I shall head to the Whispering Lute at once, and then perhaps you shall not think me a fool, eh?
Warden Ericsson, under a hood, enters the Whispering Lute quietly and approaches the bar.
Oh, hello. It's you, Warden. Look at me. You do not recognize me.
Do not recognize you.
Good. Hello, stranger. What can I get you? I'm here to pick up a friend. I believe Castilian Kaloon is here. Oh, he is. But he's had one too many to drink. He's over there in the corner. Ah, excellent. That sounds like my Castilian. I shall have to make sure to get him to safety. Please excuse me. Hello, Castilian.
Warden. No.
That's right. Now, let's leave. You don't want to cause a scene, do you?
With his arm gripped tightly around Castilian Colloon, Wulf Ericsson half drags the nobleman through the streets of Frost Hollow.
Where is Irina?
She's gone, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Is that right?
I'm not scared of you anymore.
Why don't we go back to your home? You can invite me in, and we can talk about your new bravery.
The two make their way up to Castilian Colloon's 3-story townhouse. Ericsson rings the bell.
You wish me to enter, yes?
I don't care. If you don't scare me, you can come in if you want.
Excellent.
Good day. Oh.
Get in. Who's the fool now?
Welcome one and all to Dice Company Small Embers Chapter 61, where a group of friends weave tales of triumph, heroism and despair under the guise of playing Dungeons & Dragons. My name is Tom, and I'll be your DM through the continuing adventures of this group of manure-shoveling bagpipe dancers. Manure-shoveling bagpipe dancers, please introduce yourselves and tell us one fun fact about your characters.
If you think I'm going to take offence to that, you're wrong. It's honest work, and the bagpipes are awesome.
Well, clearly volunteered himself there.
Hi, I'm Charlie, and I play Vander Finnick. With great responsibility. No, let me do that. No, don't agree with any of that. That's a lie. It's a sham. The rest of it's also a sham, but I'll start again. With great power comes great responsibility. That's a lie, of course, that people with great power tell others to throw them off the scent. This is doubly good for Vander, though, as he has a soft spot for both power and lies. He can hardly wait to deal in both, and he's got an inkling that taking down Wulf Ericsson is going to serve up the most potent cocktail of dissent and influence he's ever tasted. Vander is very happy indeed, and drinks in these delicious prospects like a bowl of steaming soup.
Yeah.
I'm just trying, it's kind of a mix between the usual Vander nonsense and slightly taking shots at the DM. I want treasure fine. And I want it now.
Oh, I didn't take that as a shot at all. I just thought it was really well put together. Now that I know it's a shot, I hate it.
No, it wasn't a shot. It was all about being really well put together. like you said just now. Yeah.
Interesting. I worry that you're a bit too close to Vander in real life.
No comment. It's fine. Nothing to see. What does the next character have to say? Where are they? Isn't it Harry's turn? Harry.
That's a good question, Vander. Whose turn is it next?
Hi, I'm Harry, and I play Tock, an imposing 6'8" automaton. Tock has no sleep to disturb and no dreams to haunt, but he does have long nights alone with the stars in which to think. Augustus's action in the face of the Red Dragon beyond the Planar Rift has occupied much of this time recently. His willingness to stay behind and save others in a fight against overwhelming odds from which his survival could not be expected. There was another figure in Tock's life who performed a similar role once. Tock sees that Augustus is worthy.
That's really nice.
I love it.
Tock is a sweetheart.
Okay, I have a point to make here.
Oh, God.
Okay.
It is Vander.
No, this is totally reasonable. It's rational hazmat, which you should love. You should love this. Okay, so generally speaking, when a group have an automaton or robot or AI or anyone like that in their group, it's the AI who bites the bullet, right? Because it's their purpose within the group to sacrifice themselves for the humans.
Sounds racist.
I withdraw the point. No. It's what was Tock doing in the tunnel, though? He was saving his own metallic skin whilst,
Only Vander would think that with his lack of memory.
Vander does think that.
Forgetting what Tock was carrying at the time.
Yeah, bowl of soup.
Yeah.
No, wait, what?
Augustus, back me up. He should have taken the fall for us.
That would have led to, I'm assuming, Dom, some kind of dragon god taking over the
would have been
plains?
amazing.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, you forget Dom has no problem with being a dragon god. So,
Kneel before Cinderham.
Listeners, if you think your country is now being secretly run by a dragon god,
we're not doing politics.
please write in. Please write to the DM and explain in detail your theory.
It's like the lizard people, but way more awesome.
King Gizzard, the lizard wizard.
feels like a shot at the person who wrote the lizard people.
Hello, I'm Dave, and I play Petren Oakflower. Petren and Vander's recent visit to the weapons shop has reminded Petren of the forge of the blacksmith in the village close by where he used to live. Petren was very fond of the smith's two children, and he taught them how to do things like identify different mushrooms and where they could catch rabbits for the pot and all that sort of thing. This has led to Petren wondering what became of those children.
Oh, God.
Ooh.
It's all right, no one's going to ask. Don't worry about it.
Oscar.
Exactly.
Moving on.
Foreboding.
Really sweet.
He just moved away. He moved away. He doesn't know what happened to them.
Yeah. And the kids just moved to a farm upstate. It's fine.
Well, no, they didn't. They didn't move away at all. Well, I don't know why I'm telling you this. This Petren wonders. He doesn't know what happened.
No. Noted.
Probably just handed them in to a old lady running a religious establishment. The logical thing to do.
Yeah.
One of them was shipped off to Deepmond.
And before you clear your throat and fucking cut me out of the facts.
Who the fuck is this?
Are you ready?
Oh, you can't all clear your throats to try and steal back the stage. It's a massive. Yeah.
Welcome to a investment bank in the 1920s. Everyone's behind a paper. Hi, I'm Alex, and I'm playing Fabian Augustus Zeno Donoflian. And my fact this week is going to be the rules of Association Wrestlehoop.
Yes!
Now, a very popular sport in northern realms like Lumatorn, Wrestlehoop is played on a pitch of 20 metres in diameter with an upright 1 metre hoop at each side. Think a hula hoop. There are 5 players on each side, and the simple aim of the game is to wrestle your opponents through their own hoop. Each team has a red-shirted captain known as a hooper. The hooper gets an extra point for each opponent he pushes through the hoop. However, if the hooper is captured and forced to surrender, the team gets a minus point. This almost never happens, but it happened to Augustus.
Oh my God, it's my favourite fact.
This fact just feels like pandering to the DM.
Basically, 10 people fight to push each other through hoops.
So many questions, right? So if you get beaten up by someone on the other team and are about to be stuffed through a hoop, you might feasibly pause though, and you'd be like, maybe I'm going to make it. But they'd be waiting for the hooper to arrive, so that feeding you through the hoop gets them more points.
But if you send your hooper up to the other team's hoop in order to do that, you expose them to capture.
Ooh. Oh, so you might pick a hooper who's just really nimble, like the snitch, and just running away.
You could do that, yeah.
Well, I mean, I haven't played whirly hoop. You tell me.
I haven't quite decided what the mode of surrender might be.
It feels like Alice is like, I'm not telling you the best tactics, Charlie. We may
Gotta work this out
in
yourself.
case we face off. in whirly
exactly.
hoop. Yeah,
We're going to find another podcast with 5 people in it. We're going to wrestle with them. Then we'll see who's going to smack talk us on social media.
Wait a minute. Has someone been smack talking us on social media?
No, but I almost wish they would, and that they had 5 people and we could wrestle hoop them.
Yeah.
So, come at us, 5-person podcasts.
Yeah.
I mean, despite us being the inventors of Wrestlehoop, do you think we'd be any good at Wrestlehoop? Because I've got my doubts.
No, we are nerds. We'd be shit.
Just stick Tock in front of the hoop and you'll be fine.
Yeah, I feel like 4 of us would get stuff through a hoop straight away. Charlie would be the last because he's the strongest. But then in the dying moments of the game, he'd just jut out his hand at someone and shout fireball.
Well, you did. There's no rules against fireball in Wrestle Hoop.
Yeah, he didn't say anything about that.
He's trying to get information out of you. Don't give in. There's no rules against killing people, is there?
Well, you will recall that there were too many deaths in Wrestlehoop. That's how Augustus became the captain.
Would it be okay? So I get that you still score a point if you pass someone's cadaver through the hoop, presumably, but surely that's seen as at least bad sportsmanship.
It's generally referred to as medical malpractice. Why are you passing that cadaver through a hoop, doctor? Could you not do a window? There are many more rules that I thought of. I thought a lot about methods of surrender, like what do you have to get the opposing hooper to do to like signify his surrender? But like I was thinking of Braveheart when he says that your commander has to come out to the middle of the battlefield and kiss his own arse. But then I thought you'd need very flexible hoopers for that to make the slightest sense.
I demand that you produce the full association rules of Wrestle Hoop and we'll stick it online.
I will, at the very least, draw a Wrestle Hoop pitch and put it in in the dice cord.
The game also feels like it needs VAR because you could be almost stuffed through the hoop and then, change of tactics, somehow you scramble back through.
On to all sides and manage to pull yourself back out a hoop.
Exactly, like an octopus. You just got just a couple of tentacles still in the hoop.
I remember the good old days of Wrestle Hoop where it was just all done, by the referee on the pitch. You didn't have to wait for ages for all the decisions to be made about whether or not the guy's been shoved all the way through the hoop. Game's gone. Game's gone.
They've ruined it. And please remember, say, what abridgment have we for this evening? What mask? What music? How shall we beguile the lazy time, if not with some delight? So let's turn the page on the next chapter of Dice Company. Previously on Dice Company, you guys are in the wintry, misty city of Frost Hollow, and you've successfully performed an escape plan for Irina Kaloon to get her away from the clutches of Warden Wulf Ericsson, the vampire lord of the city. Having returned to Frost Hollow, you discovered Augustus bursting from the Whispering Lute Inn, having lost sight of Irina's father, Castilian, and after some shenanigans, you all began to follow in hot pursuit. Augustus, give me a athletics check, please.
That is an unnatural 20.
Ooh, nice. Your man late for a train run, which is now what it's called, proves to be quite effective as you're able to move quickly, but without appearing to be moving quickly through the busy streets of Frost Hollow. You turn the corner to the road where you saw the cape flickering, and you can see Kaloon is stood with Wulf Ericsson, and they are entering Kaloon's residence.
Okay, so Augustus is going to quickly pull up and appear to kind of, I don't know, to be looking around if there's an obvious thing, an interesting building he could pretend to be looking at. In modern world, he gets his phone out and just pretends to be checking a text, right? He's slowing down. He doesn't want to draw attention, but obviously he doesn't want to walk away.
Interesting. Can you give me either a stealth check or a performance check? Probably performance, but your choice.
It's performance or charisma. I do enjoy doing a charisma, so let's give that a go. 15 for performance.
Charisma all over the place.
The two gentlemen don't notice you at all. You are looking across the street, but with one eye kind of on them the whole time. Ericsson is actually supporting Kaloon slightly as Kaloon kind of tries to get the door open.
Okay, well, Augustus, having obviously sprinted away from the Order of the Heron, and knowing that as a general his men will be in hot pursuit, quickly goes back the way he came to stop the blue fury of all his men leaping after him, because he obviously doesn't want everyone else to pile around the corner at this point. So he goes back to head off that charge.
Okay, well, they were pretty quick, actually, as it turns out, and you take only a few steps before Petren arrives, and then a little bit further back from that is Vander and Tick, no sign of Tock.
So Augustus is putting both hands up in silence, but in a very clear stop and quiet motion, and says, "Gentlemen, stop. Ericsson has taken Kaloon into Kaloon's house. I think we need to be careful what we do next."
Very troubling.
Vander casts around for Theodore.
Give me a perception check.
Okay.
Theodore he was ahead, shouldn't he have just attached himself to Augustus?
Yeah. 6, unfortunately.
It's divisible.
There is no sign of Theodore anywhere.
We got any open windows or anything like that?
Yeah, so on the street itself, there's a line of townhouses on either side. So this is quite a busy, noble district street, and a number of the buildings have open windows on them. Certainly on the ground floor, at the very least.
I was just going to say, has Galoon's house got a window?
It has a window. It's not open though.
It appears we are light of urchins currently. So I can either send Bellerophon to investigate, or maybe another of our party has a more ingenious scheme.
Vander looks around.
No, I was thinking Cuthbert, but if Bellerophon might squeeze under a door more easily.
Oh my god, is this the first ever Cuthbert Bellerophon tag team mix-up?
I've now seen very clearly that those are going to become the stars of the show. We're going to get professional actors to come in and play Cuthbert and Bellerophon.
Okay, so Vander turns to Bellerophon and whispers to him. Bellerophon receives his orders and scuttles down and pads his way in the direction of the house.
Okay. And is Cuthbert
Just as an
also
aside,
going?
could we get someone with like a really deep, sinister voice just to play Cuthbert? Vander doesn't have to be right, but I just think Cuthbert now really does need to be, yes, my sweet.
Maybe if you could just get Matt Berry or something on it.
I was thinking Matt Berry.
Yeah,
actually.
that'd be good, thanks.
That'd be great.
Just get
We
the
can carry
sort
on
out.
our streak of asking celebrities to just do us free stuff.
Yeah. Worked well so far.
It goes down well. Is Cuthbert going with Bellerophon?
No.
Okay.
Oh, we missed out on a great
I
buddy
think
cop movie
you don't
there.
want to. It's just an extra thing to spot, isn't it?
The lizard, fine, but lizard and Stoat? No, what is he?
Weasel.
Weasel.
I don't want to
Same
alarm you,
family.
Wulf Ericsson, but there's a lizard and a weasel climbing up the arm of your chair.
If it was
Natural
just one.
enemies.
What I'm saying is, if you like looking for things, the odds are if there are two things compared to the one thing, you're more likely to see one of the two things than just the one thing. It's just maths.
Would a
That's true.
weasel?
It's hard to deny that is twice as many things.
Bellerophon heads down the street and he gets close to the door. And there is a, oh my god, letter, not box. Is it letterbox?
Yes. Wow.
In a door?
Yeah, can we get a concussion check for Dob?
I don't know what's going on. He heads towards the letterbox and is able to kind of nudge his head through. He clambers in and he is inside. Vander, you are able to...
Okay. I'm going to use sucker pads. So Bellerophon is going to pad his way onto the wall, up onto the ceiling, and begin padding his way through the house from his vantage point of the ceiling.
give me a Bellerophon stealth check, please.
That's an 18 then.
Wulf Ericsson has a feat that means he can't be sneaked up on by a lizard.
Yep, so with these sucker pad feet, he climbs up the wall, onto the ceiling, and silently moves through the building. It does not take him long to discover the dead body of Morrison, the butler, whose throat has been slit open and he lies in a pool of blood halfway up the hallway to the left.
Okay. Is there anyone else in the vicinity?
Not that he can see.
Okay, Bellerophon is not a doctor, so he's going to sucker pad his way down and tentative lick. See if we get any movement.
The tongue lashes out and attaches to the ice-cold cheek of the butler, who does not move.
Okay, detecting no pulse through his tongue, Bellerophon returns to sentinel duty and sucker pads his way back up onto the ceiling. Just as I'm doing that, is there any obvious, I'm not going to say Bellerophon's a genius of checking pockets and so forth, anything, investigatory he can do?
You can give me a Bellerophon investigation check, I guess?
Yeah. Okay, I'll do another. I'm thinking he's going to take a big disadvantage because. Okay, so it's a 17. I don't know what kind of modifier you want to add to that.
So he doesn't get a modifier as a chameleon for his investigation because he's not trained in investigation and has no stats for investigating.
I should have mentioned this. He has had some investigation training.
That's why he carries around a magnifying glass all the time.
He went to grammar lizard school. Okay, so what? I take it's the 17.
So a 17 actually is enough. As he's kind of, before he clambers back onto the ceiling, he rummages around in the pockets of the dead butler, and he finds a set of keys in there. There are about half a dozen keys, probably more keys on that chain than there are locked doors in this building.
Okay. Bellerophon takes the keys, deposits them somewhere on his journey forward and backwards, if that makes sense. He doesn't want to be carrying the keys all the way.
Okay.
So he's going to hide them.
Yeah.
And then he's going to suck a pad back onto the ceiling and continue his search to Wolf.
Okay, so he hides the keys in a nearby plant pot. Because that's always where things go when I don't have another place for them to go.
Makes the sense.
Clambers up onto the ceiling and heads towards the next door along, effectively. The door is shut, which is problematic for him because there is no obvious way of getting into that door, through that door.
If he pushes the door with his tongue, do we get any movement?
The door is, so it's pulled shut, so it doesn't have the strength capable to open a shut door, effectively.
We don't have to have a conversation about how powerful Bellerophon's tongue is, do we?
I mean, we can have a conversation about how difficult it would be for something so small to open a shut door.
I'm just saying he's a killer, so you might be surprised at what he can do.
Okay, give me a...
He grappled Paragon home.
Give me an no, he didn't. Give me an athletics check for Bellerophon.
Okay, all right, okay. He's going to lash his tongue to the ceiling, then he's going to swing at the door. So full Bellerophon body at the door.
Right.
Okay, so athletics.
And this better be a natural 20 is all I'm saying.
Also, this might be the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Ooh. It's a natural 1.
Cool. So his tongue lashes to the ceiling and he swings action hero style towards the door, splats against it, so he's splayed out wide, having hit it at full force. And it makes quite a noticeable thump as he hits it.
Okay, Bellerophon's scuttling to safety now. We're changing tact. We're going to move away.
I don't know. I think he's doing a cartoon slide down the door at this moment.
Give me a dexterity saving throw, please.
Okay. He goes Dex. 14.
So he turns around and begins to skitter towards the front door, and then in an instant, your vision of him goes black as he has been killed.
Oh, damn it.
All right, Cuthbert, you're up. Third choice, Jenny the War Camel.
A quick Google has told me that, a weasel would definitely eat a chameleon.
Except this chameleon, obviously.
You must be better at Google than me. I don't honestly think I'd be able to get that answer.
Well, just typed in, would a weasel eat a chameleon?
Well,
whose website page answers that question?
Yeah, I was going to say,
You'd be amazed.
Weaselversuschameleon.com.
So, Vander relays what's happened to the group because obviously he has partial sight and hearing through Bellerophon, and he changes the facts slightly to make Bellerophon sound more heroic than he was. But ultimately, the conclusion is that
I'm not sure we can risk any further investigation. It seems to me we have already been rumbled.
We can't just leave Kaloon to die, surely.
We don't know that he is going to die. We do know that we are not in a position to face Wolf directly.
I must say I agree with Vander, Petren. Our efforts must be focused on defeating Wulf Ericsson, but we must do that in the way we planned. We need this weapon. So let us hope that Kaloon, in his somewhat pathetic state, is not enough of a threat to be killed by Ericsson. At least until we return and take our chances against the Warden.
Do we have to assume we're compromised? Does Ericsson know we're here for him?
I would assume not. Only that someone was spying on him.
I think it's difficult to assume anything. We must move quickly now. We have an appointment with the High Sepulchre and William the Knife.
I could go in if you think it'd be useful. I've got certain abilities. I could. What could I be? A spider, perhaps. That might be small enough to escape his attention.
I think the Warden is too dangerous. I think we must face him when we're ready to fight.
If you're sure, I'd like to leave someone behind like that, not knowing if they're alive or dead.
I agree, Petren. I shall certainly not stop you, but it feels a dangerous chance to take. And should our worst fears be true, what can we do for Kaloon until we're ready to fight Ericsson?
Well, Perhaps you're right. Perhaps you're right. It doesn't sit well, though, does it?
No, it does not. Did you get his daughter to safety? That at least might give us all some solace.
We did. Yeah, she's tucked her away.
Did she successfully retake her human form?
Of course. That would have been the first thing I mentioned if she hadn't, wouldn't it?
Good news and bad news, Augustus.
She is safe from Wulf Ericsson.
She's free as the wind.
I can assure you all.
We lost control of her, and she's now just in the stratosphere.
She's happy and free, and she's now a shit cloud.
What would Petren do?
Is Petren saying, what would Petren do? Because that's awesome if he is.
Time for a line for
I'm saying
Cuthbert.
it out loud.
Oh, my child.
Flee from this place.
Yes, what would Petren
Kill them all.
I command you to spread the blood of the innocent, Petren.
but wait until they are asleep.
The posh one is drunk. Strike him.
Take your place as leader.
It will
And
go
steal his
worse for
hand.
you if you deny me.
All shall be all before Cuthbert.
Petren does talk to Cuthbert. He goes, what do you think, Cuthbert?
Squeak!
You're right. No, you're right. You're right. We have to know at least, don't we? We have to know at least.
Cuthbert nods.
And, Petren, again, pulls out his staff, makes a couple of scratches on the ground, mutters a few words, and suddenly shrinks down to just a house spider, not noticeable by anyone, and makes his way into the house.
Okay.
In a way, it's better he did this after Bellerophon died, because I feel like that house spider would absolutely have been hunted instantly.
So you're able to squeeze under the door. No need to go in through the letterbox. See, memory. Weird thing to brag about, but this is where we're at in my life. And you head along the corridor, following the same path that Bellerophon took, turn the corner, and you discover the dead body of Morrison, the butler.
And then I think I'm just going to press on to the door.
Okay.
Presume there's like a crack or something that a spider might do.
Absolutely there is.
They're just going to pause kind of in that crack so you can see into the room, but hopefully not even noticeable as a spider.
Okay, yeah, so you kind of creep to the edge of the under the door that you can get without being visible, but being able to see everything that's happening in the room. And what you see in the room is one of the most horrific, unnatural sights you have ever seen. Blood is sprayed all over the room, while Kaloon's lifeless body hangs in the centre, his arms bound and tied to a chandelier, splaying his limbs out wide. His body has been stripped and there are surgical wounds all over it, with limbs dragged out and displayed in a barbaric, horrific fashion. Stood before him, holding an ornate dagger, is Wulf Ericsson in all his glory. He is frantically, almost feverishly pulling sinews out of a freshly made wound in the arm. Like an artist, arranging internal organs in a grotesque display. Ericsson mutters,
Am I a fool now? Whatever will you think of me, Sergei? Look at what I have become.
yeah. He continues to cut, slice and pull the body into new and grim positions. A macabre exhibition of his fury and his power.
Okay.
This is all a bit much for a house spider, isn't it?
It is. Do I have any idea about what he might be trying to achieve in this macabre act?
The only thing you can think of is that he looks like an artist who is trying to create a masterpiece. He's almost logically kind of stripping parts of the body apart and strapping up. And actually, even though it's disgusting and harrowing, you can see that there is an element of beauty in the display that is being created in front of you.
Well, there's obviously nothing for me here, and I think Petren is quite shaken by this. So I'm just going to get out of there.
You head back along the hallway and under the front door and back out to where your friends are.
And I return to my regular form
How was it, Petren? Is he okay?
And I think I just start striding out in the direction of where we'd agreed to meet William, and I just say, well, there's nothing here for us. We need to get going. We need to do what we need to do in order to defeat Wulf Ericsson.
I think
Augustus.
rather than actually ask, Petren Vander's fairly good reader of people and can see that he's witnessed something terrible. Can I do a perception check to see if I can discern that he's seen the death of...
You can give me an insight check.
Yeah, let's do that. A 25.
Yeah, he's seen a brutal murder. You've seen someone who's seen a horrific death, and that Petren is wearing that face.
Feels like the death of innocence for Petren. Augustus, walking along, looks to Vander, casts a glance at Vander to see if Augustus's own suspicion that Petren has seen something bad is also reflected in Vander, because he sees Vander as a better reader of the rather darker things in life.
Vander looks back at Augustus, and his expression utterly confirms what Augustus is thinking. It's not really clear how Vander communicates that so clearly, but it's very clear that that's the case.
Somewhat weirdly, does Augustus know from his childhood here whether there's a Temple of Tyr in this city?
He would absolutely know that. The question is there one? Roll me a d20. Let's let the gods decide.
17.
There is a Temple of Tyr that you know about. A strange little quaint temple down in the southwestern part of the city.
So it's not at all on our way to where we're going.
So near the Temple of Isidore.
Mm-hmm.
And we are going where?
We're going to go to the Goma Onda tree, surely.
So you have an appointment in about 25 minutes by Everfrost, but there's also the Goma Onda tree that you can go to, which is in the abandoned Dwarven district.
Which is right next to us.
Yep, which is right next to you.
And actually on the way to... I'm assuming Everfrost, this is the closed mines up here.
Correct.
Yeah.
So... But I don't really have time to go to the temple, do I?
I mean, you have time to do what you want. If you want to go to the temple now, if that's become a priority for you, then go to the temple. Like it's...
What? And make a William the Knife wait for 30 minutes? Outrageous!
I mean, that guy possibly murdered my granddad, so I don't really mind being rude to him.
Augustus,
Vander says, turning to Augustus.
I see the fervor of religious indecision in your brow. I have some business with a tree, but if you wish to visit the Temple of Tyr momentarily to rid yourself of existential doubt, then I will support that and placate Mr. Knife until your arrival.
Thank you, Vander. That's weirdly perceptive of you.
Isn't it?
Metagaming!
I just rolled a 25 for insight. I'm just riding the wave.
So these guys have got a quick job they can do on the way.
Correct, Augustus.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Okay.
Maybe too much insight.
All right, Vander. I have something I must do. I will only be a few minutes, and I will meet you as close as I can to the right time that we're to meet Sepulchre Marsh and William the Knife. I'll meet you at the mines.
Godspeed.
And Augustus now does run, heading
Cool.
for the Temple of Tyr.
As you begin to sprint through the streets, you feel a kind of uncomfortable knot in your stomach, like a dull pain and ache in your stomach that you've never felt before.
Can I do anything to kind of discern what that could be?
You could give me a medicine check?
Like, am I feeling bad about something?
Yeah. Is this guilt? Has my drinking buddy just been made into a fucking artwork by a vampire? Okay, well, being the guy he is, Augustus pushes away those scary feelings and runs faster.
Okay.
Not one for self-reflection.
So the rest of you are going to the Goma Onda tree, is that right?
Yeah, can do. Makes sense.
We're going to just nip in there on our way, yeah.
Is it just to be clarified so I don't say the wrong thing again, we're meeting at the mines. Is
Yes.
that the correct thing? Okay, fine.
Yes, correct. The entrance to the abandoned mines of Everfrost.
And
Which is
the
different to the
crypts something
crypts,
else?
yeah.
Yes, the crypts are something
Yeah.
else.
The crypts are below the Whispering Lute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fine.
Presumably those big double doors that were mentioned. Also, by the way, Alucius offered 90 gold pieces per bottle rather than 35 that the proprietor offered.
But that much is in the dick.
because I had no intention of taking that offer,
Yeah.
I didn't.
Bother.
I didn't even write that down. I hadn't noticed that. That's right. We'll play them off against each other if we get the plonk.
It sounds like the wine's probably worth more than the 90 as well.
Vander, Tick, Tock, and Petren, you are heading into the abandoned dwarven district of Frost Hollow. It lives up to its name. There is barely a person in this entire area. There are boarded up houses. There is very little life, certainly in comparison to the rest of the city that you've seen. And as you move through the streets in the direction of the cemetery, you don't encounter anyone. It's odd and slightly eerie as you make your way through.
Vander falls into step with Petren.
Petren, it strikes me you may have been the observer to something rather grotesque.
And Petren doesn't look at Vander, but continues kind of staring straight ahead and not breaking stride. That's right. That's right, Vander. I think that's a fair description.
Yes. Well, these things can be hard to see, but I think maybe you should consider the nature of Ericsson. He is not unfamiliar to the predators of the forest. Vampires at their core are driven by their predatory instincts. I ask you, does the fox care for the hare?
And Petren stops to consider this and now turns to Vander. You're not naive, Vander. I understand the nature of predator and prey. My question to you would be, when the fox catches the hare, does he not just eat it and get on with his day? He doesn't revel in killing the hare. Doesn't take the hare apart, display its organs. This isn't just like a predator. It's something else. Something else.
I agree there is something most macabre in the ways of Wulf, but ultimately, it is the act of dispassion. You, of course, observe it with a feeling heart. Ericsson does not, and in that way, he is simply a predator. I don't propose that this makes things easier, but I hope that maybe it helps you understand.
Well, I don't know, Vander. I think he enjoys it, and that puts a chill through me. But I appreciate you trying to bring me some comfort nonetheless. Let's see if we can find this tree old Aylmar was talking about, shall we? Better prepared we are, the better things will go.
I agree, and hopefully under the tree, the perfect trinket to annihilate Wulf, which will make you feel better another way.
Right. Yeah, onwards.
The first smile of murder gladdens my heart.
I'm going for righteous revenge.
Yes, righteous revenge. A most noble pursuit. Yes. Let us frame it in those terms. Now, this tree.
As you're walking through the streets, you notice that you're heading in an upward direction, heading up a hill of some sort. And then, as you turn the last corner, you see before you a large cemetery with a metal gating all the way around. There is no lock. It kind of moves slightly in the misty wind of the early evening. At the south end, you can see the top of the hill, and there is a sickly-looking copse of trees, a sort of grove of death. It's covered in blackened shrubs, and at its core is a huge, gnarled, misshapen tree.
If we're there, Tock will climb out of the bag.
I believe it is time to give way to the naturalists in our party.
And Vander steps aside for Petren and Tock to gaze upon the gnarled, desiccated trees.
As Tock proceeds off, you see him stow a book back in the bag of holding. It appears to be book 9 of the Journal of Elias the Wanderer.
Further bibliomancer, Tock.
Remind us what book 9 is?
It is the book on the undead.
On the unliving.
Yeah, the unliving. Yeah, Tock will proceed towards the large tree.
Yeah, Petren's going to join him.
Give me a perception check, please, Tock.
Okay. An 8.
An 8.
Indeed. Should Tick do one as well, I guess? He's walking next to him.
Yeah, go on. Why not? And Petren. Why not you as well?
Well, I was going to look specifically at the base of the tree as Aylmar had advised.
Okay.
So am I doing a
Tick gets a 24.
Yeah, do you want to do one as well, Petren, for the base?
Just a 6 for Petren.
Okay, so Petren, you can't really make out anything specific about the base of the tree. This is going to be interesting because Tick's about to see a lot of stuff and he don't think he's able to communicate it to you guys.
He can point. and he can write on Tock's tablet, I think.
I was going to ask for advantage, seeing as Aylmar had specifically pointed to a certain
Normally,
area.
you should ask that before you roll, but on this occasion...
Yes, I should. I was going to, and then
But
I
you
forgot
didn't,
to.
see. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
no, I'm aware of that.
I don't want to be that guy, even though I love being that guy. Now, go on. You can roll it at advantage. That's fine.
14 this time. It's better than 6.
So, Petren, you can't make out a lot in the kind of through the thick mist of this weird and eerie grove. You certainly recognise the fact that this feels like the opposite of your grove, whereas your grove was all about life and beauty and nature. This is the polar opposite of that. There appears to be a strange ica over the base of the tree, similar to the stuff that you found in the forest itself.
Aramikos.
The Aramikos, indeed. Only here it seems a lot thicker and it's almost oozing out of the base of the tree. You also notice that there is a gnarled wooden staff that is jammed into the base of the tree. It sits at an angle that is completely unnatural. So you can tell this isn't part of the tree. This looks like a quarterstaff that has been embedded in the tree. Tick! I don't know how he's going to communicate this. I would imagine, as Vander pointed out, is just going to be fuck written on it. Tick notices lurking among the dead trees and shrubs 3 vine blights, 6 needle blights, and 12 twig blights. They are moving around the tree. They haven't noticed you yet.
So, obviously, Tick would alert Tock to this quietly, but when you say moving around, presumably these are like some kind of demon-y tree thing that's going to attack us. This is somewhere where my monster knowledge of D&D is lacking.
Okay, so blights are similar to dryads, if you want a kind of point of reference in Warhammer. They're creatures made of wood, twisted creatures. They're quite small, like a cross between an imp and a fairy, but made out of wood, all sharpened points, nasty faces, and they're just kind of shuffling around. They're not worshipping this tree. They don't appear to be performing any kind of ceremony. They're just existing within that space. But they are definitely a danger to your party, and they will attack if they see you.
Yes. Okay, then Tock will make them known to Vander and Petren using his message cantrip. So he's silent.
Nice. Okay, so you're now all aware that there are a total of 21 blights circling the tree. Quite a lot. And if one of you wants to give me a history check, if someone's particularly good at history, I might be able to help you out with what blights are and what they're...
Nature?
Yeah,
I've
you
got
can give me a
3
nature
for
check.
history.
Okay.
You can give me history or nature.
Tock gets a 27 for history.
Let's not talk about my my history roll.
Sorry, Tock gets 27 for nature.
Cool. Tock, you are aware that blights are very prone to fire. Fire is the easiest way to kill them.
Are they afraid of fire?
Yes.
Tock will turn to Vander and say, Vander, do we have a means of creating fire? Shall I gather wood?
Well, overhearing that, I say, well, I can do that if you need me to, Tock. Well, sorry, Vander, have you got that capability yourself?
Why don't we both assist each other?
And Vander casts Prestidigitation.
And I will cast Create Bonfire.
Well, let me tell you, Petren's won that round. So Vander creates the illusion of fire and the warmth, which immediately alerts the blights, and they all kind of turn with their gnarled features, and they give out tiny little squeals, just in time for Petren to, I guess, scratch insignia into the ground, and creates a bonfire. Where are you putting the bonfire in relation to the blights?
I'm going to put it between us and Deb. Because
With a woof, this bonfire is created. And you hear the blights kind of squeal, and they recoil, and they begin to kind of move away, and they're trying to ascertain exactly what this fire is going to do, and they're definitely not getting closer to you. But they are now aware of your presence.
They haven't backed off from the tree, though.
No, they're still stood by the tree.
Impressive.
Says Vander, looking at the fire that Petren's created.
I think we still need to remove them from the tree, though, if we are to make our inspections.
How close to here is the nearest, abandoned building?
Maybe 90 feet away?
So if Tock wanted to go and partially dismantle it to find some wood to burn, to make just an actual big bonfire that we can, carry, burning brands and things, that wouldn't be too...
Yeah, you can definitely do that.
Okay, whilst those two, have a bonfire off, Tock and Tick are going to go and tear some stuff apart and return with a lot of wood to burn.
Okay, so Augustus is now sprinting through the streets, very much in the way he last sprinted through Lunadine when he arrived and was fleeing what he thought were Empire forces that might catch him. His thinking is that if he is being followed, which is very likely, he is just going to try and outrun anyone that's following him. It's the only real way to know you're not being followed, is to run faster than the people who might be behind you.
Okay, give me an athletics check, please.
11.
Your feet pound against the cobblestones as you move as fast as you can. Your breathing becomes heavy and laboured as you sprint in the direction of where you know there to have been at least a Temple of Tyr. Can I have a religion check, please?
I'm all about religion. 18. I am all about religion.
The knot in your stomach has got worse as you're running, which I guess makes sense because you're out of breath, so your lungs are hurting as well now. You turn the corner into the street where you know the Temple of Tyr is. There's a double door, and one of the doors is open. It's a little bit kind of dustier and more run down than you remember it. You remember it being quite impressive in your youth, whereas now it looks a little bit tatty.
Okay, so Augustus bowls in and looks around for, any first impressions. Obviously, anyone running the place first and foremost.
You head in through the open door, and similar to the Temple of Isidore, there's a pool in front of you, a bathing pool, which is covered in thick algae. There is a thick layer of dust over all elements of it, and you can see that there's graffiti carved into the stone walls from locals. Everything that you can see suggests that this is an abandoned temple.
Okay, so Augustus sort of pulls up and kind of heaves for breath and lets the kind of disappointment of that kind of crash over him. And then sort of remembering that he doesn't have much time, looks around to see if there's anything he can do, even a small thing that would kind of put the place to rights. Can he pick up fallen things or, place a gold coin in the pool? He wants to find a thing to do that kind of makes a little mark that there's someone following Tyr still in the city.
You set about tidying the abandoned temple. Can you roll a D100 for me, please?
60.
The knot in your stomach loosens slightly as you go about your work. Could be hunger, maybe at this point, you're not entirely sure.
For blood.
But you sweep away some of the dust, you throw a coin into the pool, and you take a knee by the pool, having tidied the place as best you can in a quick time period. When you hear the voice of Tyr in your head.
Augustus Zeno, we have much to discuss. I shall come to you at the end of the day.
Does Augustus know whether you can kind of talk back in this situation?
You certainly try.
That's fine. I don't think he's going to at this moment. That message seems clear to him I just wanted, he's not, to his shame, that familiar with how the whole religion thing works. He was going to ask for a sports car. That's fine. So Augustus kind of thinks to himself, and aware that Tyr could kind of hear his thoughts. He thinks that he hasn't, although he's done reasonably well on his oath of redemption, he hasn't done well on the sort of part of it relating to Tyr, and so he resolves to do better in that way. And actually, he can't resist a little prayer that says, we're facing a truly evil enemy here, and I think I will need strength more than I have ever had or ever believed I could have if I am to prevail in this fight.
And what exactly do you think you are doing in this place?
And we will end it there.
Fuck. Oh, no. Oh, fucking Ericsson. Oh my God, it couldn't be worse. The only saving grace is I was saying all that in my head.
You've been listening to Dice Company's Small Embers, starring Dave Windust as Petren Oakflower, Alex Morrison as Augustus Zeno, Charlie Blackadder as Vander Finnick, and Harry King as Tock, with Tom Patrick as your Dungeon Master.
The humans of Dice Company would like to thank the following sweethearts for their support. Shay Benton, Sepulchre Stennett, Marky B, Jenny the War Camel, Stephen Sikora, Nori Gosler, Mickey Arnold, Happy Daddy Scotty, Tika, SJ Phionics, Richard Ungermas, Rabbi Camel, Team Stay Toxic, Hearth Pursuit, Paris Pakar, Julia Zeno, Shovels, Mama Strange, Queenie, Axel Runholm, and Chris from North London.
Every time I have something removed from me, I always ask to keep it in a jar, but they always say no.
How shocking of them. Why
I know. Bastards.
Every time I have something removed, how much of you is left?
3 things I've had removed from my body. Thank you very much. It's what comes of being a common man.
So I'm 50-50 on keeping something.
Tonsils.
Didn't include them. They're gone as well.
And there's 2 of them, so that has 2 things.
A tail.
Yep, my vestigial tail has gone.
One of my gills.
Okay, so tooth.
Nope, not including teeth, although I have lost about 4 of those as well.
Jesus.
I had a lump.
Including on this very podcast.
Exactly, yeah. I ate it, effectively.
So you've got to keep that one.
We're
No,
now
I think I
playing.
did. I think that's how digestion works.
I would 100% edit this whole section out. This is terrible.
Yeah, I don't think we need to keep adding to this.
We're now
That's the
playing
Dom that fell off.
What has Dom lost from his body? Okay, let's
Jesus
So
Christ.
Vander's favourite life.
Oh, fuck! You
Fuck
motherfucker!
you! Oh, it was so
I've
fun
done it
waiting for that.
again.
You
Sorry.
did! You forgot about me, you forgot about Vander.
I used
A
to go.
dredge. But I'll quickly do it. Vander's
Apologies.
Yeah. Bob Esponja, pantalones cuadrados.
Quadrados.
Sorry, I'll stop there
like a
because I know
minor
this is going to
noble.
be an important scene, so I didn't want to ruin it halfway through by saying that.
Just thought
Carry
you'd get
on.
in there straight away.
Just torpedo the fucker before you begin.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I'll stop. I stop there.
Parada.
So you have a week to think.
Fuck you, I've got a week. That week is going to be terrible. Oh, God. I need to fight him now. Try to lie to him or something. This is brutal. Listeners need to understand that these cliffhangers are real for the players too. Oh my god.
Lore.
Thanks for listening. Please consider supporting Dice Company on Patreon, where for the price of a cup of coffee you get access to a whole other show, Extra Roll, as well as an ad-free listening experience. The Dice Company Discord server, along with our socials, can be found on our Linktree in the show notes. If you enjoyed this chapter, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to recommend us to your friends. If you didn't like it, recommend us to your enemies. And we'll see you next time on Dice Company.